Oh yeah, welcome back in to Fearless Friday Underground. Whole squad here with you. We got the red thing going on here, me and Lanny.
Yeah.
He's got one of the new fresh shirts here. Good friend of the show here, head coach Sylvan Hills Bears. My man here, Jim Withrow. Coach, good to have you in here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We still keep bringing you back, even though
I know it.
You know,
even though the ratings go down, you just keep bringing me back.
Oh man! All right, let's jump into things here. So we got a lot to get to here. Let's get to the overall top 10 in the state. Not a lot of changes, a little bit of shuffling going on here. You see Bryant there still holding down the top spot. They're getting a lot of those first place votes. They've looked real good. Greenwood sneaking up into that 2 spot. North Little Rock, Bentonville, Fayetteville. Then you got PA, Harrison, Conway, Christian, and Arkadelphia. I'm a believer in Arkadelphia here. One of the top teams in the state. I think so.
We'll find out. They're going to play Wynn Thursday night right here on the Fearless Game of the Week.
Yeah.
I think the first two, Bryant and Greenwood, are heavily number one in their divisions.
Oh, yeah.
I think we'll talk about Greenwood a little bit later, but I agree with those first two. I thought I vote in this poll, and I actually dropped North Little Rock a little more. When you lose that bad to Whitehaven, at home, I don't know how good Memphis Whitehaven is.
I know they've got a stud running back that Arkansas is looking at.
They got 2 recruits right there that Arkansas is looking at. So I don't know much about. And Fayetteville got hammered too. So a lot of shakeups from last week. So top 10, but coaches, we'll get into it. It's all non-conference. Doesn't really mean anything. Just bragging rights.
Well, when you're 0-2, yeah, it's all non-conference. Doesn't mean anything like we are. So that's kind of the way I look at it. But it is all non-conferences. Like I was telling you earlier, I don't even want to know what my non-conference record is over the years.
Well, we can pull it up and show you.
I'm sure you can, but it's your conference is what matters. And all this, you're still trying to figure out who's good and who's not good. And, you're not really sure if the people you played are really good or really you're that bad or one of the two or somewhere in the middle. But I do think that, like Bryant, there's no doubt Buck has really got that thing rolling.
Yeah.
I can tell you from experience that Arkadelphia is a very good football team. They look they looked better this year than they did last year. We were close, and they put late in third quarter, and they just put the gas down and just left us. But JR's got that thing going on really well there. So everybody in between, not sure, but I definitely can tell you Arkadelphia's right there, somewhere in the top 10, and then Bryant, no doubt, is the best team, I think.
Absolutely here. And you see it pretty 7A heavy there. Let's just get into the 7A polls there. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of those same teams. Obviously, Bryant, North Little Rock, Bentonville, Fayetteville, Conway also sneaking up into the top 5. And then you see a couple others there, Cabot and Central, Northside, B West also getting some things. We talked last week, Lanny, about Conway trying to go up there to Bentonville this past week, trying to prove some things. Throw that up there for me, fellas. And didn't come away with the dub. Didn't look bad, though. 17-10 loss. I mean, okay, maybe.
Bentonville looks strong.
They do look good, though.
I mean, Bentonville's going to be a very good team. Conway's going to be right there. We say the similarities of Conway and Bryant are so, not just the colors, but they've been knocking on the door. They just really need to make a run in the playoffs and show where they're at. Little Rock Central could be a surprise team in the 7A. They've looked pretty good.
We team camped with Central all summer. You could tell they were a lot better. And he's had time to put his stuff in and kind of build that culture where he wants it. So they look really good. The other interesting one in there, in my opinion, is Cabot, because you go from a totally different system from Mike Malham to Scott Reed. And so that's interesting. I think we're going to get in later. I guess Scott Reed plays his old team.
Yep, he does. That was a big win for Cabot last week as they go down to Pine Bluff.
Right.
And when that game, Pine Bluff's got a new coach too, former Razorback running back. I believe Stinson, I believe his name.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of good going on here. I like Conway. I like Bentonville. And Bentonville West showed me something last year. I think they're going to be right back there. Fayetteville took it on the chin. I mean, they
did. Throw it up there, guys, against the Wasu. Now, I know they've also got a guy or two that the Hogs are looking at as well. But, boy, they kind of just got shellacked.
Yeah, they really took it on the chin. I was kind of surprised by that. I don't know how good Owasu is. I know the radio announcer for Owasu was very shocked. I know him real well.
Yeah, because I believe last year Fayetteville put it on them pretty solidly.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Sometimes, Coach, you just have a bad game.
Sometimes you have a bad game. Sometimes, guys will tell you out of 10 games, you're always going to have a bad game plan. And when you have 10, you're going to have a bad game plan at some point. Everybody has it. Doesn't matter who you are. And sometimes you get lucky enough to win it. Sometimes it's unfortunate enough you get smoked.
Well, you got to giving up a pick 6 right there will get you beat.
So
too.
I think it's just like I said, we're in week 2. It's hard to really identify who is and who isn't. I do think Fayetteville's a very good football team. I think they'll bounce back.
They need to bounce back from that one. That's a very ugly loss, though. When you get beat, go on the road, get beat.
It was ugly.
Give up a lot of points there. Look at 51 points right there.
Oh yeah, and I kind of stepped on you there. But yeah, it's also kind of a bummer too. You lose these sort of out-of-state matchups. I know a lot of these border schools kind of carry the banner a little bit when it comes to Arkansas high school football.
Yeah.
And I mean, Coach, I guess in your opinion, where is Arkansas now in the sort of the regional scope of things?
I think we're right there with everybody. I think that everybody's starting to get the facilities. Everybody's starting to, administrations are starting to figure out, this is the way we want to run things. Is let's get the head coach and the coordinators some time to prepare and take them out of the classroom a little bit, and they realize that, hey, if we're really good in athletics, we're probably going to be good in academics. And the model everybody should use is Greenwood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they've done a great job. But the schools in Oklahoma are very big schools.
They're huge.
They're huge schools, bigger than even the ones in Northwest Arkansas that we have. So it's hard to say when you look at like an Owasso, Jinx, Tulsa Memorial, those schools that are really big. It's hard to gauge. Now we've done well against them. Yeah, we have done really well. So when we get smoked by one, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to gauge. But I appreciate the fact that we played Whitehaven. We've played South Panola. We've played a lot of good schools, and then it's good exposure for everybody. Absolutely here. And quickly, we kind of touched on Cabot a little bit. I want to go into them a little more. And Coach, maybe you can give a little insight into this. Obviously, taking on Pine Bluff here. To me, I was a little surprised that they looked as good as they did. Now, not necessarily against the Pine Bluff, because I know they're kind of hitting one of those little dips in the cycle here. But switching philosophies. I mean, it's just a 180 here. Kind of basically what the Hogs were doing. You go from a Brett Bielema offense to now what Chad Morris is trying to implement here. But they look pretty good doing it. Cabot can throw. Well, I'm going to tell you this. One thing about Cabot is they have better athletes than people think they have. They are sneaky good athletes. They do. I mean, when you watch them running track and things like that, they've got some guys that can run a little bit. And then they've got, they've always been very good in baseball. So they've got guys that can sling it around a little bit. And then Scott Reed is a very good football coach. Yeah. And he's had time. He got there, I think, in January or right after January. So he's had time to put that together. You go through the spring and the summer, and then some 7-on-7. So they've had some time. Oh, Cabot throwing! I'd love to see that. I want to see the fans. when this game was on the road. They're both both schools. Stinson, we talked about the new coach at Pine Bluff. Yeah. And you were right. Also, Pine Bluff's a little bit down, but that's a big win for Cabot. It's a bigger classification. But I would love to be in the Cabot stands at home when and I know Scott Reed very well. He's a very good football coach. I believe 3 in a row when he was at El Dorado, or he's at the top. I think 4 or 5 straight years he's at the title game in 6A. Yes, and he is. He's a very good. It's still kind of weird to see him in that red and white, though. He's an exceptional coach. It's always weird after you've been somewhere for a while to change the colors right there. Now I do think Coach Stinson will do a very good job. I think he will too. But I just think Pine Bluff's a little bit down, and I think Cabot's been down in the past, but they're on a little bit upswing. That was a tough game for Pine Bluff. And one thing about it too is, when you're throwing it around a little bit, the kids like that. You got a little change of culture. And don't get me wrong, I think we can't ever say enough about Mike Malham and what he did out there. But with them changing the culture, when you change, kids like change. Yeah. And you get their attention span is at least 15 seconds. And so, you've got to have something new and you got to have something fast and go get it. And that's what they're doing here. So they're probably really excited about learning that system. I like what you mentioned there with the athletes, and I think they've been sneaky athletic. But I think now you're going to be able to see that on display a little more now that they're kind of getting the ball out into some space. So I think it's going to be fascinating to watch them as they develop throughout the year here. A couple of big games here for them. We were talking about Cabot. They got a big one coming up. But also we mentioned Conway. Hey, you got to prove yourselves again. Hosting Bentonville West. And then you see that, man, you get your old girlfriend back right out the gate here. El Dorado coming to Cabot. What do you guys think? El Dorado, 6A school. They've already got one loss
but they're still going to be a very good team, and they're going to be very competitive in the 6A West. I just like Cabot. I think Cabot's a little bit better team. I like Cabot. I like Bentonville West against Conway. I'm telling you, I'm not backing off the Bentonville West machine there, the Wolverines. Very good football team, so I like West, and I also like Cabot.
I'm going to say this about non-conference. Coach Lanny told me a long time ago, Barry Lanny Sr., don't worry about your non-conference.
Exactly.
You go play. Sometimes you need to play the best ones. Sometimes you need to, if you're not very good, maybe you need to go play some ones where you get some confidence.
Yeah.
Coach Fimple, what he's doing right here is back-to-back weeks. He plays Bentonville, correct?
Yeah.
He's making a statement. We're preparing ourselves to play the best people.
Well, I think too that's sort of a kind of a playoff prep. If you ask me, because I mean, Conway's going to be in this thing,
right?
And I know we've kind of been hard on Bryant here, and I think Conway, like Lanny said here earlier, is kind of taking that on identity. Real good in the regular season, just can't figure it out in the postseason. I think they're setting it up there, and I think that's the plan.
That's what they're doing is they're preparing themselves. You're exactly right.
Who do you like, El Dorado Cabot, Coach? You got Scott Reed's going to play his former team. He knows El Dorado very well. The players know Cabot, but that's about it.
You know, I would probably say Cabot. We played El Dorado in team camp, and I thought they were athletic, and I thought Coach Jones had them well coached, considering he had not been there that long.
Yeah. Right down the road in Junction City as he moves up to El Dorado.
Yeah, and I think that. But I would probably take Cabot just because it's the bigger school.
Sure.
Yeah. And, but that's where I would go with it.
But El Dorado's going to be right there. They're going to be fighting Greenwood in that 6A West.
That's always an interesting deal when you go back and play somebody that you coached with.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Sylvan Hills, we were in 6A for 1 year.
Yeah.
Then I said, where are we going? And they said, we're going back to the 5A Southeast. And we played at Mills. And so it was really a interesting deal to go back and sit in the visitors' locker room and to go through all the things that a visitor go, feeling like you were at home.
Yeah.
And I heard Houston Nutt talk about that the other day when he was at Ole Miss in Arkansas. And it is an interesting situation when you do stuff like that.
Not quite as luxurious in that visiting locker room.
No, not quite.
All right, let's get into the 6A here. We got Greenwood holding down that top spot pretty solidly. Jones Boogie there next. El Dorado, Searcy, West Memphis. People still have a little confidence in Benton. You see Marion, your guys Lake Hamilton, Pine Bluff also getting some votes in there. And, you know, what do you say? I mean, it's like we said, it's Greenwood and everybody else, if you ask me. They took on Northside this past week. Go ahead and throw it up there for
what
you
I
guys.
would do right now is I'd go ahead and order the rings from Greenwood. I mean, everybody's going to be fighting for second place. You go ahead and you dust the cabinet out, Coach, get it ready for the new trophy. I mean, it's a done deal. Greenwood all the way, and everybody else is fighting for second place. And I think it'll come between Jonesboro. I think West Memphis, even though they lost a lot, they got a lot of talent. But I'm going to put El Dorado right up there. Marion, the Patriots are a pretty good football team too. I think Benton has slid a little bit. Lake Hamilton's still struggling. They had a good win last week, but you know they're going to have to. Somebody's going to have to show that they can take on Greenwood, and I don't believe anybody can right now.
I think that Jonesboro's defensive line is as good as anybody's. I'm talking anybody's. And when you watch them play and how fast they are, you're going to realize that, hey, they're really good. But then the quarterback, I think it's Cross Brandon, I think is. I might be totally wrong about that. He is outstanding as well. He didn't play very well in the first game. You know, Catholic played pretty well against him. He didn't play that well. But I'm telling you, that guy can play as well. So I think if anybody can challenge him, it's definitely Jonesboro.
What about Sylvan Hills?
Yeah, you guys challenged there in the playoffs for a while, man. You guys look good. Granted, that was last year, but
it's like I said. I think we're still on the beach. So you know, we're going to get off the beach.
There's nothing wrong with being on the beach. That's a good place to be.
Apparently, all the boys made it back Monday from the beach, so we're going to see if we can regroup here and get going. I think in time, we're going to be okay in time. We're young and play a lot of juniors, and so. In time, we're going to be okay.
You know, this game right here that you're watching, I can remember a day when you would joke if you thought Greenwood was going to play Fort Smith Northside because Greenwood would be annihilated. Not anymore. Greenwood has owned Fort Smith Northside.
Heck, they've owned all of them up there.
They've just dominated everybody they play. It's a great crowd base. That's another thing about Greenwood. It's a great community. It's a great football town. There's so many of them. And this game is at Greenwood. I've been to that stadium many a time. And
it's a tough place to play. Very tough. And
very tough.
They use all the mental edge.
Oh, it gets rowdy.
You walk out of the locker room and they've got all the state championship stuff on the side of this building, so you have to see it when you walk out. So they do a lot of stuff like that. But he does a great job, and I thought they run a first-rate operation. But, it's just amazing how all these things change, because I remember growing up in Fayetteville, Bentonville was like a joke.
Yep.
It was a joke, and there was no point in them playing. I mean, it was just go up there and beat the dog out of them, get it over with, and come home. Now all of a sudden, how things have changed in the last 30 years.
But don't you think, though, Coach, if you're Rick Jones, you just go ahead and clean the space for the new trophy, and go ahead and order the banner and get the ring.
I'd
go ahead and start sizing the rings.
We got a long ways to go.
This thing is over.
No.
Greenwood easily will be the 6A state champ after the second week.
After the second week.
Week
we have a
one.
long ways
And,
to
hey,
go.
let's crown them already.
I'm not one to hide my opinion.
You are.
I will put it out there.
They were who you thought they were.
Well, so there you go. All right, one big game here this week. We kind of talked about both these teams here a little bit. You got Jonesboro coming on down to Conway. So I think that was last week.
No, that's not. That's incorrect. It's Conway's playing West.
That's right. All right, so I got my weeks mixed up here. All right, so we'll move along here. Then all right, so we got the big dogs here out of the way. We got the 5A, we got the 4A. That 4A, boy, that thing's loaded, and we got a lot to talk about when it comes to there. So, Beavers Friday, stay with us here. Jay Bir, Lanny Beavers, head coach Sylvan Hills, Jim Withrow.
Nobody does spicy chicken like Wendy's. And now, spicy nuggets are back. So all hail the queen of spice. That's right. And get a free 6-piece when you mobile order through the app. Nobody does spicy chicken like Wendy's. And now, spicy nuggets are back. So all hail the queen of spice. That's right. And get a free 6-piece when you mobile order through the app.
Fearless Friday Underground back in here with you. Let's get into it here. 5A classification. This one's kind of narrowed down a little bit in terms of the teams clocking some votes here. Throw that top 5 up for me, fellas. You got PA holding down the top spot, Harrison right in there behind them, Little Rock Christian, Little Rock McClellan, and Morrilton. So not a lot of changes up there. You see Greenbrier getting a little love, Texarkana, and even Clarksville. Somebody believes in Clarksville. Let's go. I really don't see a lot that's going to change throughout the year, at least as of right now. Texarkana might sneak up into there at some point, but I think for the most part, these are going to be sort of the teams that are going to be fighting for this thing.
Morrilton will be right there. I guarantee you Morrilton will be there. They had a real first week, real close game with Searcy.
Yeah.
Stepping up in classification. Morrilton's there. They get the quarterback back. It's a very good football team. In Texarkana, they had a loss with the Texas school last week. I don't know. That's Texas High. The Tigers are bigger than the Razorbacks in Arkansas. That's not a bad loss. It's a rivalry game. But I think that the top is just like it should show. Is Harrison and Pulaski Academy are going to be the pack leaders. You'll see some shuffling under that. And McClellan's a good team. We're going to see them on Fearless Live in a couple of weeks. But, Coach, you're very familiar. I know you're a 6A coach now, but you're very familiar with the 5A. Tell us what you think and see.
Well, I think in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. So
Christian showed they could do that last year.
And Christian should, and that's why Christian's up there. That Christian lost Justice, and they lost a few other people.
They did, but they still got it humming, though. In fact, throw that up there for me, guys.
Chris Hightower is as good as anybody.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is. Why some people haven't offered him a scholarship, I'm not going to name any schools, but I have no idea why. But he is the real deal. And they've got other players in there, and they've got a good defense, and so I think they're going to contend in there. If you've got a good quarterback, like we were talking about with Chris you're always going to have a chance. A team I really like, and I got to spend a couple days with them 2 years ago, I guess now, is Harrison.
Ooh,
I like Coach.
They're very strong.
I love the way he runs his program. I love the way they run their practices and everything. I got to go to 2 practices and watch them, and man, I was really impressed with those guys in Harrison. I think they do a great job.
Yeah, and really that top 5, I don't think is going to change a whole lot because I think a lot of these teams are just going to keep winning. I mean, obviously there's going to be a couple times where some of these guys meet up, and obviously PA and Christian, you got Morrilton Harrison, so there's going to be huge games when we finally get to them. But I mean, really, for the most part, I think this is your semifinals are right there in that top 5.
Could be, and you never
barring
know,
something
like
really
McClellan,
weird.
You know, everybody will say, well, McClellan may not have this or that this year, and then there they are.
They lay the wood.
Every year, Maurice has them going. And
one of my favorites in the state, man, Maurice Moody, he's got them. Woo.
And he does a great job.
Yeah.
And so that'll be interesting to see where they wind up. But yeah, 5A, that's what I always loved about 5A. You never knew. You never knew who was going to be the surprise team. There's 10 of them. PA is always up there, and you got to beat PA to do it. But you just never knew what was going to happen.
Oh man, it's one of my favorite classifications. That's for sure here. All right, a little off the beaten path here for a big game of the week here. We got Ozark down there in the 4A taking on Clarksville. We're going to give Clarksville a little love in this one because, you know, they're getting some boats. We don't talk a lot of Clarksville here. We don't really talk a lot of Ozark here, but they've been pretty good the past couple of years now. What do we think? Clarksville's really got it churned in here early on. They're putting up big-time points, not really allowing any points, too. So Ozark, like I said, been good the past couple of years. What do we think?
It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. You throw the records out. I mean, they've been playing for years.
Yeah.
I can remember calling this game many years ago. One of the first games we did at War Memorial was Ozark and Clarksville.
Yeah.
But they've been playing forever. Ozark's really had the upper hand lately. Been a very good team. Clarksville, it's a toss-up. You can flip a coin on this one. I don't really know.
But how nice is it to talk about Clarksville?
I know, I'm saying.
And I, you know, guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you. I can go through all these other schools because I've got to be somewhere else during the year. But I know that Clarksville struggled, and I've known that, and I'm glad that you're always happy to see a school come back and get it going. So good for them. I know Ozark's tradition rich, so that ought to be a fun night, Friday night there.
I would think even though they're a smaller school, that most people would pick Ozark because it's
I would think so, yeah.
tradition. But hey, anything can happen here, especially in a rivalry game. That's the key right there.
Right.
Yeah, we're putting you on blast here, Clarksville. Let's keep this thing going here. But I'm with you guys. I do think Ozark pulls that one off just because they've been kind of the bigger machine here recently.
And one thing that Lanny brings up is, hey, why did I play Arkadelphia? Well, number one, I knew the head coach, but I knew that they were going to play well.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to be well coached, and they're going to be a very good football team. And, you know, we got them down there last year, and they put it on us this year. But it makes us better. And when you play good football teams that are well coached, you know, you can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, it's a touchdown. If you make a mistake, it's the end of your drive. And so, you know, when you play those teams that are well coached, like Ozark has been for years, it makes you better.
Excuse me there. So there you have it here. All right, let's get into the 4A here because, we got one conference here. And I love to talk about this conference. Y'all know me. Here we go.
4A7.
4A7. Boy, there you go. And you got 3 of them there in the top 5.
It's just unbelievable how tough that conference is.
Yeah, so there you go. You got Arkadelphia, Nashville, Robinson, and then you mix in Warren, which is a machine in and of itself.
Shiloh Christian.
Yeah, then Shiloh Christian. Then you got Ozark, Rivercrest, good old Reliable, and even Mena. There you go, another 4A7, I believe.
4A7, one of the toughest conferences out there. Bauxite had a very good year last year.
Yeah.
They were playing in that. Arkadelphia is a machine. We're going to see them Thursday night. I know I keep talking about what a great game that's going to be as when it comes to Arkadelphia. Coach, you know Arkadelphia well.
Yeah, throw up Arkadelphia there for me, guys, because, man, oh, man. We talked about that last week. We were like, oh, yeah, Arkadelphia could probably pull that off, you know, after watching them, unfortunately, play against Sylvan Hills there. And, man, they smashed Benton.
I thought they would. Benton, Coach Harris's team's a little bit down this year, and I thought Arkadelphia, you know, don't forget, Coach, and I know you're telling your players this, Arkadelphia started out 0-5 last year.
Well,
and
you
state
always
champion.
do. And I remember having a conversation with JR about it, and they didn't like it. But I told him early on, don't worry about it. And you're getting into that conference, it's going to be tough. You just need to get in.
Yeah.
And you know the basketball guys will say, hey, we just need to get in the tournament. Well, that's it. You just got to get in.
Yeah.
And then everything changes. And so, but the game, they weren't getting just annihilated or blown out or anything like that. So they just need some time. I'll be honest with you. I thought Arkadelphia was a lot better this year. I thought they were
They look a lot meaner.
That's scary.
They look more focused.
Yeah.
At this time. Now,
Which is odd because they won it all last year.
Well,
You kind of think there's that.
I think they got that focus like in probably week 4 or 5. They started getting their focus. They just happened. The problem is when you mess up against people you should beat, then all of a sudden the next one is somebody that could go either way. Now all of a sudden you got an issue. But they look more focused out of the gate this time than they did last year, in my opinion. In which I
and that's a scary thought.
That is a very scary thought, considering they always look focused when it matters. And so, but they executed well. They were physical on defense, very well coached. It's going to be a depth thing, how much depth everybody has.
Yeah.
And so, and you got to stay, in those 4A schools, you got to stay healthy.
Oh, yeah.
And but man, I tell you what, I tip my hat to them. I enjoy the way they play. I enjoy their whole culture down there. It's a good thing to see.
You probably didn't enjoy it much a couple Fridays ago.
No, I did not. I did not enjoy it too much. I did not enjoy that one too much. No.
Well, it's good to see Arkadelphia back after the years of John Outlaw. If I can age myself, it just really brought Arkadelphia state champions, and Coach Eldridge just doing a phenomenal job there. And man,
they look
good
right now. And
I'm telling you, I really look forward. We're going to call this game Thursday night on the Fearless Game of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know, Coach, we tried to get you this year, but we're going to get you for sure next year. But man, that is going to be a machine.
Yeah.
Warren's always good. Coach Ambry just doing an outstanding job. Robinson's right there.
Throw Robinson up, guys.
Robinson had a huge win last week. I mean, going up to a 7A school on the road, Coach, and I know Rogers has struggled. There's no doubt about that. But still, when you go up to a 7A school, it's got all the numbers. And
you put up stupid points against two 7As.
I mean, Mercy rolled a 7A school.
Well, they've done a good job.
They've
done a good job pulling all these guys in and getting them on the same page really quick. They look, just by the highlights, they're executing a whole lot better.
Well, you want to talk about focus. I mean, those are some guys. I mean, they've been knocking on the door the past couple of years. They finally got to that finals game. Ended up losing a conference game, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, they forgot to open up the door in the finals game last year.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that, 66 this week. I think they put up, 60-some-odd last week, too?
That was a 7A school, too.
Well,
against Springdale.
I don't know how good Springdale, it's hard to say how good Springdale is. Springdale was really good last year. So this does not tell me anything. The Springdale win tells me a little more.
Yeah. Springdale's going to be they're going to be a decent football team. I think, unfortunately, I don't mean to pick on anybody. I think Rogers is going to struggle like they generally have.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but Robinson is scary good.
Is it a little concerning though for Robinson that they're allowing a lot of points? Now, granted, I'm not sure when they're giving up points, if they're getting out big and then they kind of dial things back a little bit.
You got to watch tape because you never know when you give the points up.
I don't know.
Especially when you jump out on people.
Yeah.
Just let everybody play.
I don't have a clue when they're giving up the points. It seems like when I was watching the Fearless scoreboard, I was off last Friday, that when I first saw the scores coming in, it's kind of like election results. I know you coaches don't get a chance to see this, but it's real fun when you see the Fearless Friday scoreboard as the scores come in. And Robinson just jumped out real fast. Go ahead.
Well, you come out, you get done with your game, and you get kind of relaxed there for a second, and then the very first thing you do is you go out there and you look at everybody's scores. You look at all your buddies' scores.
And you look on Fearless Friday to do it.
Yeah, and that's what we do. You look at Fearless Friday to go do it because they've got all the scores. And it's quick and stuff. And then, of course, if you're in the middle of a construction project, you have no cable anyway. So you just go to Fearless Friday. But yeah, you always want to see what people do. But boy, that conference right there is going to be very, very interesting. And the one thing, I think Warren is going to be in there because their conference isn't as good as the other one. But I don't know if Bo's as good as he's been. But Bo is such a good coach, and he's been around the block so many times. Yeah. He knows how to win big games.
Well, he doesn't have Traylon Burks this year.
And he doesn't.
But he really did last year because he lost him so
exactly.
early.
Yeah.
But Bo knows how to win big games, and when you're not asking him to go through that conference,
now
all of a sudden it comes down to, hey, it may just come down to a game.
Right.
One game, and that might be all Bo needs right there.
Yeah, kind of akin it to a college standpoint. They're sort of Clemson right now, whereas you got that 4A7's the SEC West.
Exactly. So when you're asking him just to do it one time, he can do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I would never count them out.
All right, one big game here. We got Shiloh Christian taking on Smackover. Now, granted, Smackover kind of took it on the chin last week. Still one of the top teams there in the 3A. Shiloh going 2 there, so that, woo.
I like Shiloh in this one. There's another game we talked about, the teaser, win at Arkadelphia.
Yeah.
That's going to be Thursday night. I like Shiloh in this game. I don't think Smackover, without Jones, they had a couple years ago, was as strong as they were. And Shiloh Christian did a very good job. Good friend of mine, I think yours too, Adam DePriest up there.
Yeah, Adam's up there.
OC at Shiloh.
This is probably, I think, it's probably a game that, it was a non-conference game that nobody could find a game.
That's what it's.
And that's what it is.
That's what that matchup looks like.
That's what it is. And I'm not talking about the difference in teams or anything. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, nobody wants to go that far for a non-conference game.
That's a long way.
That's a long haul for a non-conference game.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something, going playing a big time power or something. That's different. But that's what this looks like right here. But you never know.
Still kind of interesting, though.
It is a very interesting
game.
Yeah.
All right. I'm with you guys. I think Shiloh gets this one here. All right, here. That's the sort of the middle class here. We got a lot to talk about here in the 3A, the 2A. Both these guys are, there's a lot going on down there in those classifications. Fearless Friday Underground, Jay Bir, Lanny Beavers, Jim Withrow here with us. Stay with us.
Nobody does spicy chicken like Wendy's. And now, spicy nuggets are back. So all hail the queen of spice. That's right. And get a free 6-piece when you mobile order through the app. Nobody does spicy chicken like Wendy's. And now, spicy nuggets are back. So all hail the queen of spice. That's right. And get a free 6-piece when you mobile order through the app.
Fearless Friday Underground. Welcome back in. Jay Bir, Lanny Beavers, Sylvan Hills head coach Jim Withrow. Always the chatty Cathy here. Let's get into the 3A here, because there is, man, this thing's wide open here. All right, you see the top 5 there. Camden, Harmony Grove, getting that number 1 spot. Rising, Osceola, Prescott, Smackover. All right, cool. But then, then it gets real interesting. Newport, always a traditional boy. They will hit you too. I love it. Harding Academy, all over the place. Clinton still hanging in there. Boonville, McGee, Hoxie, Lamar, Cedarville, Melbourne, Mayflower.
Well, there's some schools there getting tradition votes. I'll tell you that right now. They're not as good as they've been in the past.
All right.
There are some tradition votes there in the 3A that you can see. It's probably some of the votes you put in. I do like Camden Harmony.
Well, let me see outside the top 5. I think I kind of nailed it. Yeah. I gave Smackover the benefit of the doubt.
And Smackover, and once again, we talk about this so much, you really can't look at the records because most of these schools, they're not going to play each other. They need to, and they're just going to have to play a very good 2A school, or they're going to have to play an upper classification. So Prescott had a real tough loss in week 0, but they're still going to be good. Yeah. And Rising had a loss last week.
Well, and that's what I was getting back to earlier.
Yeah, Fordyce. Go ahead and throw that up for me, Steve.
What we were getting back to earlier about Smackover and Shiloh. You get some teams that play each other every year because it's tradition. So then all of a sudden, scheduling's getting tougher and tougher.
I bet, yeah.
And so, that's why I'm with you. You don't really look at the records right now. You do see who they played.
That's all you can do, really.
But, you start looking at, like, Harding Academy, they're going to be there at the end. Clinton's a very good football team. Boonville's very well coached football team.
Defending state champion.
And Newport's in there, too, which is good to see Newport in there.
Yeah. I know you guys have had a couple of battles there.
We did.
Back a few years back.
I thought they were, that was one where was a bigger classification.
We're going to talk a little bit about them in a little bit, but Fordyce has really been coming on the past couple of years. That was that's a big win right there for Fordyce as they knocked off Rising last week.
And that's good to see because they've got so much tradition from years past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too because and again, you're kind of sort of schedule comparing here, and there's not really much you can do here. Yeah, but with Rising kind of knocking off Junction City last week, Fordyce knocking off Rising, that Fordyce Junction City game, should it ever come to be, will be real fun. Who's better? I don't really know. We're just talking because that's what we do. But yeah, there's a lot going on down there. Mayflower, another one of these interesting teams. I know they had been down the past couple years, maybe starting to get it back. Somebody believes in them there. They took on England last week. England, not quite the team that they were 2-3 years ago. Go ahead and throw that up there for me, guys. And how hard is it sometimes in some of these non-conference games, especially now, Coach, I know you've done pretty well scheduling some tough competition for your boys, but when you kind of get into some of these games where it's just like, you're just kind of overmatched, and like you said earlier, we had to fill a week.
You just try to get better. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're competing, trying to get better.
Right.
You want to make sure everybody is doing their job, everybody's competing. We're just not mailing it in, but when I was at Mills, we would play. It's funny you say the money games.
Yeah.
And we would have, and people paid us to play there. We got paid to go to Cabot one time, and we won. And we rolled in and won.
There you go.
And we went to Hot Springs one time for a money game.
Did they cancel the check?
No, they didn't cancel the check. And but we did go. We went to Hot Springs twice and got paid twice and won twice.
How about that?
Hey, when you're getting paid to go and you win, that's
better.
double bonus. But yeah, you're trying to get better. You're trying to get better for the conference, and very few teams go 10-0, and so everybody needs to understand. In our culture we live in nowadays, everybody wants to go 10-0. Why did we not go 10-0? Well, it's special.
We played somebody 2 classifications over us.
Yeah, and so those things happen, but it's good. It's good for everybody to play somebody different.
Yep.
And you mentioned rivalry game. This one's been really heated the past couple of years. The battle for the Little Red. Clinton Heber. Clinton, I'm a little surprised at personally so far this year. I know they lost a lot coming into this season, so I was real interested to see how they were going to end up being. And again, this game, forget about it. It's one of them rival games because this one's mean and nasty. I went to it last year, and it was something else. I guess, Coach, too, what is it about these rival games that just changes everything? I mean, I know obviously it's a rivalry. Both towns or communities or whatever get into it, but man, these things get weird.
Man, these are the guys that you played Pee-wee football against, compete in baseball and basketball, and the parents know each other, and the dads and moms probably played against each other.
They're probably jawing at each other too.
Probably, and so it's just, in high school football's gotten really big in the state, so they probably make a really big deal about this game, which they should. I mean, they're two good programs, and so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for everybody, and the little kids grow up seeing it, and they want to be a part of it, and so it's just a good time.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. Who's our big rival right now? Because I know Sylvan is going through a lot of change. Hey, I am one of us.
He's
That's it, man.
You act like Blake Martin over there talking about who is our who is our
right?
Yeah,
he's taking ownership, Coach.
Yeah. Right now it's been pretty much Jacksonville. Has been the one just because of they're so local proximity. But they have been. I think when we were in that conference, I think. PA was because we were getting closer and closer. We never did it, but Little Rock Christian had kind of become one, and we were 500 with them and went back and forth.
Right.
The one problem you do have is when you start changing classifications,
right.
you
lose some of it.
You lose it and you hate it. And so,
I know when Sylvan Hills dropped that 5A, that North Little Rock one kind of faded too.
And then the enrollment deal and everything kind of got. I think eventually that's going to happen.
Sure.
Probably 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to come back because the enrollments are where they're supposed to be. But what you try to do is you try to go schedule them non-conference.
Right.
So like we're going to lose Jacksonville next year, but we're going to schedule. They're in our 3rd game next year.
Oh, so there you go.
So we get to keep them, and we're all kind of excited about that.
All right. One big game down there quickly here, guys. You got Camden Harmony Grove taking on Fordyce in this one. Very interesting matchup here. Kind of the 3A/2A big game of the week.
Hey, Fordyce had a big win against Rising last week.
Yeah.
Camden Harmony Grove.
Well, they're grooving, yeah. That's a good way to do it there. Camden Harmony Grooves. Copyright that.
That's one of those pick'ems again. I don't really know who'll win that, but I would say the team that scores the most points probably.
That's always a good pick, Lanny. That's why you're the best in the business.
That's right.
That's the only reason he wins the playoffs.
I have no idea. It's just I wish I was at that game because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's another game right there that the whole town will be out there for. Should be a fun game.
But where are they going to send you? Maybe you'll be there.
I don't know. I might lobby for that one. That's an interesting matchup right there.
Certainly is. I think it'll be a great game. Good. It's a great looking matchup going in. That's for sure.
Absolutely here. All right, let's get into this 2A here because there's a lot going on there too here. A lot of old reliables there in that top 5. Hazen, Junction City, Fordyce we talked about, Foreman, the Gators getting after it, and Gurdon down there. And then we've got some other teams that have started clocking some votes. You see Des Arc, Salem, Earl, Carlisle, Hector, Mineral Springs, Hampton, Magazine, a lot of familiar names down there. But I would probably say that top 5, maybe sneak Des Arc in there, probably sort of your cream of the crop as of right now down there in that 2A.
Hampton's, I'm kind of watching.
Well, they got some athletes there.
They always have athletes. They made a run last year. I can tell you right now, I did vote for Hampton in the top 10 this past week just because of that.
And they have a new coach.
That's right.
Doug Means.
And they got a lot of talent there. Junction City, once again, is a very good team. Hazen. We talked about Fordyce just a few minutes ago. Man, that's a tough conference, right? Once again, Foreman had a great year themselves last year.
Foreman's had a nice little run.
Yeah.
I like Hampton because I went to high school with Doug, and Doug's he's a great guy.
Well,
he's a very good football
and they
coach.
really came on last year.
Yes.
They're in the championship a couple years ago, then had a down year, and they worked their way back up last year. That caught my eye, and I knew there was a younger team, so I'm watching Hampton pretty strong there. Yeah,
I know we always talk about like the 4A7, but and the number escapes me now, but you see Hazen, Des Arc, Earl, Carlisle. That's 4 guys all there packed in together.
Yeah.
That's good to see that conference starting to bounce back because it's kind of been Hazen and sort of everybody else. Now, granted, it's still early in this one. I know Des Arc, new coach down there as well, Coach Pash. And, hey, 2A's a little more wide open. I dig it. I dig it when the little guys are just throwing dice.
It's like Coach and I, we don't get the opportunity to see the small schools. We're not televising one this year. Then I do 6A Lake Hamilton on Friday night, so I don't have the opportunity. I watch Fearless Friday to see it, and I'll just study and watch it. But we don't, and obviously you don't either. We don't have the opportunity to see them. I just have to look and see what's going on with them. But a lot of the same names that you hear every year right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Carlisle.
Speaking of.
Nice little pins.
We got the nice little pins there. We mentioned it last week. You'll see all of us out there Friday nights rocking some of these. We got our Mitch Petrus pins right there. I know Ben's been doing nice little touches with his. I've kind of actually enjoyed that because I know sometimes he gets a little extra, but I'm okay with it this time. So that's fun. So again, you'll just kind of see us out there. We got to see if we can get some more of these things because I know a lot of people have been soliciting me. Yeah. Like, hey man, how can I get one of those pins? Like, no idea. We're working on it.
There is nothing better than getting interviewed by Mitch Petrus.
Yeah, he was Fearless Friday's version of Chris Farley.
He was Chris Farley, exactly.
Boy, he was. That is a dead accurate. So
look at that right there.
There you go. Nice touch there.
But I saw Carlisle. I've been looking at your pin all night, so I just had to get that plug in for.
Absolutely here. All right, so there you have it. We got a big game this week. We got who is it? Arkadelphia win.
Arkadelphia win Thursday night. It'll be a great game.
Absolutely here. You can follow along on the old Fearless Friday app if you can't get out there. You also got fearlessfriday.com. Look at us there live and direct. We're going to have everything there for you guys. We'll have highlights of that one, I'm sure, coming up. Make sure you check out Fearless Friday, Fox 16, 9:30. It's kind of that early shows. Things are still happening, everything like that.
Plus that live scoreboard as it's coming in, just like Coach Withrow was talking about. Log in to Fearless Friday. It's just like election results. That's what's so exciting about it. You just see them coming in.
Plus, on Fox 16, we've seen some crazy stuff happen in that 9:30 show. It's been bonkers at times.
Seen some live scores right there.
Live touchdowns to take leads.
On week 0, Coach, I was watching Morrilton and Searcy go down to the wire right there on the Fearless Live.
I didn't realize when we played the playoffs last year, we went for 2.
Yeah,
it was live.
That was live.
The 2 was live, and it was
the 2-pointer.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to watch.
I was having to listen because I was out and about somewhere else, and I was losing my mind. People started looking at me kind of funny. And, hey, it's high school football, man. You get charged up for it. But then the 10:30 show, full state wrap. Got more games than anybody by far out there. I think we had 28 this past week. So, tune into that one. Make sure you'll know what's going on all 4 corners.
Also, I want to remind everybody this is week 2 of the season, which means every school will play except for Wynn and Arkadelphia because they're going to play Thursday night.
Yeah.
Every other school will play this Friday night.
Get back on track.
That's right. That's the way it should be.
That's it, man. Coach Jim, we appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. He'll fill some time, that's for sure here. For Coach Lanny, I'm Jay Bir. We will see you guys next week.